Good evening, everybody. It is now 6 p.m. and without objection, I will call our regularly scheduled meeting of the Dunwoody City Council to order. Councilmember Harris, will you lead us in the invocation and the pledge, please?
All those who are able, please rise. At this meeting, help us to make decisions which keep us faithful to our mission and reflect our values. Give us strength to hold to our purpose, wisdom to guide us, and a keen perception to lead us. And above all, keep us charitable as we deliberate. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Stacy. And for those that may have noticed, I am not Lynn Deutsch. The mayor is a little under the weather tonight, so she will not be attending. But we do wish her a speedy recovery and feeling well soon. So next on the agenda is public comments. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Please, when I call your name, you can step up to the podium. Please speak clearly into the microphone and state your name, and then you'll have 3 minutes to talk. First up is Emery Lucero.
Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak here today. My name is Emily Lucero, and today I would like to talk to you about the Peachtree Middle School athletic field and in our wish to have a resurface to turf. Currently, it's a mixture of lumps and dead grass and mud holes. And it's very unsafe, and I have seen many of my fellow peers twist an ankle or get injured, both with simple ankle sprains or knee injury that puts someone out for months. Uneven fields with no holes or mud can help us prevent these needless injuries. Then we have our community. Having a new field can help bring the community together by giving them a place where they can gather and exercise. Part of what makes Dunwoody great is our diverse community that is willing to be together. The resurfacing of this field will give us another place to do that. Thank you so much for your attention and for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you, Emery. Next up is Lori Smith.
Hi, I'm here for several reasons, but I'll just talk to the one. I hope you had a good trip home from Augusta there, John. Sorry, am I on time yet? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lori Smith, and I'm actually here again today representing about 28 neighboring families to speak to the city's plans to install the multi-use trail connection between Cherry Hill Lane and the Edson Road communities. I want to first start by thanking Michael and Cody, who work for the city, who took the time to meet with me at the trail area and to try to answer my neighbors and my many questions. From our time together and from researching it further, I asked the following. While the plans must follow various governmental agencies like the Georgia Department of Transportation standards, specifications, and a multitude of others, the range of 10 feet minimum width, there is a 10 feet minimum for the width of a trail. By reducing the trail that's proposed at 12 feet down to 10, it allows the neighbors to know that it's the smallest standard width for a pathway trail, and it will take away that amount of difference in cement used to pave the trail. There will be less rain runoff with 10 feet than with 12 feet. Also, the city should ensure that the runoff that they have already accounted for at the trail continue to be considered for the area south of the trail on Edson Road. At the end of the south end of the trail, the water currently runs about 15 yards from the end of that trail into the street's current storm drain. The runoff there is a concern for the neighbors on the east side of Edson who already live with a runoff gully behind their houses. And third, I do not see in the plans any indication of city-provided items like a bench, a dog bag station, or a waste can and this should be included in the project. I've spoken on behalf of these neighbors 3 times now since the project started, and I'm unaware of anyone speaking to the need of the trail being anything else. As representatives of the people of the city, please do what is best for the greater good and the request of the people that it most closely affects. And with the 45 seconds I have left, I would like to say that I'm also the middle school girls soccer coach this year at Peachtree. And we are in favor of an artificial turf. I was excited to see when it got scalped a couple of years ago, thinking that's when it was going in. And then to see the field as it is now is not appropriate at all for any students, whether it's at the school or the kids on the teams that use the field. In addition to the adults that come on the weekend, that field gets used by a lot of people a lot of the time. And that's it. And I thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jillian Cesaro. I apologize if I got the name wrong. Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll start your time over. We just have to make sure the microphone's on because the people that are watching at home won't be able to hear you otherwise.
Good evening, council members. My name is Juliana Scazzaro, and I'm a 6th grader at Peachtree Middle School. I'm on the girls' soccer team and here to address the poor conditions of the field located on Peachtree property. I am sure you all would agree that the field is in bad condition. It is very likely to cause injuries to the 1,100 students and many sports teams who use the field daily. I have personally witnessed cleats getting caught on the netting and coming up from under the sod. This causes a high risk of injuries. Also, the field is very uneven and has bare spots, so when it rains, the mud causes another risk of falling and causing injuries. I understand that the city has worked with the county to build the new Austin. Thank you for that work, as I attended the new Austin Elementary and graduated there. I also understand that there were several agreements between the city and the school system in this land exchange. For example, DeKalb County District owns the field, and the city of Dunwoody agreed to pay and maintain the football and track area. From what I see, the field is not properly being maintained. Having turf would be ideal for the city to maintain, but if not possible, please maintain the sod for safety. All students deserve a safe environment on their school campus. So my plea is for the council to please find a way to make the improvements to this field. Thank you for listening and for your time this evening.
Thank you, Juliana. Next up is Anna Lemos.
Hello, my name is Anna Lemos. I'm a 6th grader at Peachtree Middle School, and I'm here to address the state of the field here at Peachtree. The state of the field at Peachtree is horrible and is very uneven and very unsafe. I feel like lots of people would back out of sports because of the horrible conditions of the field. Many girls especially do not want to be injured from the horrible condition and of the mud puddles and the unevenness. The sod is horrible in the condition of the field. I would be thankful for any maintenance or any help in better condition the field and helping maintain the field better. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Anna. Next up is Hella Sheth.
Hi, my name is Hella. Thank you for being on the council. I appreciate your service and all that you do for our city. I believe that everyone wants to see this happen. Turfing the field would have a lot of benefits, but I also realize it's not just that simple. I know you're planning to discuss the field during your retreat this week, So I wanted to spend my time outlining 4 reasons why I think you, this body, should move forward with doing this. Point number 1 is the fact that it was an approved upon item in the 2024 budget. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I saw it there. 1 million set aside for the project. I've talked to many of you during the past couple of weeks. Thank you, by the way. And I realize there are still a lot of open questions around the field. One thing I still don't fully understand is that if this was an approved and allocated item in the 2024 budget, it seems like some of the questions should have already been asked and answered. For example, the rationale that the city can't do anything about the field because the bond failed or because it's property owned by DeKalb schools. If those are being used in debates, then why was this an approved and allocated item in the 2024 budget? Point 2 is the after-hours usage for the city of Dunwoody. Yes, the school and the 1,100 families that attend would be the primary beneficiaries, but that after-hours city usage is not for nothing. The field is in a very accessible part of the city, and the fact that there's a track there is also very useful. So the space benefits city residents as a whole. Maybe part of the field can be used for lemonade days, right? Like it can definitely be used in ways that benefits the entire city. Point number 3 is economic impact. If that field is turfed and deemed usable for competitive events, the middle school could use it for more things like ultimate frisbee matches or flag football or whatever the case may be. That brings other schools and families to the area to eat at Mad Italian, to eat at Goldberg's, and to see our wonderful community. Point number 4, I realize the school system has not always been the most reliable partner. I've experienced this firsthand in my role on the Dunwoody Elementary PAC and during the redistricting. That was fun. But Mr. Ziffer also stood up here during public comment at a previous meeting, so on the record, and said that the county does want to be a partner and engage on this issue. I actually watched it back, and he said he had just talked to the superintendent and the school system could possibly help pay for overages. I realize the details matter, but he said all that on the record. And directionally, I'm encouraged by what I see and hear from the county schools. So 4 reasons. Please say yes to something you've already said yes to, right? It was in a prior budget, approved and allocated. City of Dunwoody, meaningful usage, economic impact, and the school system has said they would help. Point number 5, these girls too. They deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you, Hella. Next up is Carlos Lemos.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Council members, I want you to come with me on a journey, okay? Imagine a young athlete, full of potential, stepping onto a field that is uneven, worn down, and unsafe. Now I want you to imagine, not too long, but this one's right here. Imagine the same students, not just training, but thriving at a high quality, well-maintained turf field, one that supports their growth, reduces injuries, and fosters a lifelong love for sports. Members of the council, I stand here before you today, not just as a community member, but as someone who cares deeply about the well-being, safety, and success of our students. The current state of our middle school soccer fields and tracks are simply unacceptable. These fields are not just used for one sport. They serve multiple teams and activities, yet they are in such poor condition that they pose a risk to our children's safety and development. For many students, school-sponsored sports are their only outlet for sports and activities. Not every family has the means to afford private clubs or travel teams. For students from underprivileged communities, these fields are really the only place to train, to compete, and develop the critical life skills that sports provide, right? Teamwork, discipline, resiliency. Without safe and quality facilities, we are just failing these kids and their families, closing doors to opportunities they deserve. A turf field is not a luxury. It's really an investment. It benefits not just middle school families, and athletes, but the entire community. It provides a safe multi-sport facility that can be utilized year-round, reducing injuries and encouraging more students to participate in physical activity. Beyond that, it really becomes a space for broader community, weekend leagues, local events, and gathering place for families. I think this is an incredible opportunity for the council to take action that will leave a lasting legacy. Investment in these fields demonstrates your commitment to youth sports, community health, and the future of our city, plain simply. It really sends a powerful message that we as a community prioritize, student safety, mental well-being, and the long-term benefits of an active lifestyle. I urge you to take the necessary steps to make the vision a reality. Let's work together to ensure our children train and compete in
Thank you.
sports. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Our next speaker is Corey Hendricks. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, thank you all for being here today and thank you for caring about the city of Dunwoody. As many of you probably know my children, I have 2 Dunwoody athletes that I'm super proud of. Both of them have gone through Peachtree Middle School. The second one now is in a 6th grader. She's on the soccer team. The first one is now at Dunwoody High School. She'll be playing later tonight. And we really want our kids to be public school kids who use the schools that they're zoned for in the system that they're zoned for. And we've had really good luck doing that. But one of the weaknesses that Peachtree has is these fields. It's if you go out there, it's embarrassing and it's not safe for these children who spend so much of their time becoming athletes and being athletes. And we, dedicate our lives to driving them around various things. And then for them to go to a school sport and hurt themselves on these fields is just, it's an injustice. It's not fair to these kids that they have this quality of field available to them, and that's it for school. So my thing that I'm urging you to do today is to work with DeKalb County. We all know that that can be difficult sometimes, but in this case, we need to work together to make these fields better for our families and for our children. Also, there's that land use agreement that we signed with the city, we with DeKalb, we being the city of Dunwoody, and it says that you guys will pay for and repair the football field and track. I think at the time it might have been referring to grassing the area again, but we've tried that. I've been through that story before with my older daughter. It did not last long. It was such a waste of money. We would urge you to fulfill your obligations through turf moving forward. And if that is not able to happen, which I still will not understand if it's not, it needs to be maintained in a safe manner for these kids. I think we all want to be proud of our public schools in Dunwoody, and I know that's a school board problem, but it also, as a community, is something that we all should be working for together. And we also know that space in Dunwoody is at an extreme premium. It seems like a waste to have a field available to us that's like not safe for people to use. Definitely seems like an investment in the land that we have before we develop new land for similar purposes. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great rest of your night.
Thank you, Corey. Our next speaker is Mike Hendricks. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Mike Hendricks, and yes, now I have to follow my wife after that great speech that she just gave. So I really can't say anything more than what the rest of the folks have come up here and said. And first and foremost, again, thank you all very much for your time and listening to us and considering everything that we brought to the table. But just to reiterate, I mean, this is an opportunity to basically take what you've already done with such a great park with Brook Run and just extend that just a little bit further out and utilize that land that's right there. And I know it's part of DeKalb County, but it can be used in so many different ways, not just for the girls for the soccer, but it could be a good reflection on the city of Dunwoody overall. I can't say enough about the safety aspect. If y'all have not gone out to that field yet, I recommend that you do. It is in pretty bad shape. It's in really bad shape. And outside of that, I mean, that's the two big things, but it's just, as Hella said, this was something that's been out there for a while. Let's just finish it up and work with the kid or work with the county and make it happen. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Mike. Our next speaker is Joe Hirsch.
Hey, I'm here today to save the city a lot of money and embarrassment by preventing you, us, the taxpayers of Dunwoody, from wasting any more cash than we already have. Let me update you on my Open Records Act lawsuit against the city, which now totals well over $250,000 in our combined expenses. Since the city of Dunwoody has no defense in this open records case, your attorneys are attempting something very expensive and foolish. Dunwoody is now trying to change the legal definition of a journalist in Georgia. Are any of you aware of this? Yeah. Our city is currently paying the incompetent law firm of Freeman, Mathis, and Gary to litigate a new definition of a journalist. Attorney Wesley Jackson is wasting our city's taxpayer dollars on this nonsense. He doesn't like the current definition because by all legal definitions, I am a journalist. You see, as a journalist, myself and others in the profession are entitled to some extra privileges in protecting our confidential sources, as I'm sure you know. But it doesn't matter who told me information that led to proof that our city clerk, Sharon Lowry, was involved with lying to me about a police officer's cell phone text messages, because those text messages belong to the public and anyone should be able to view them. Transparency in government is crucial because the public can see what their government is doing when they can. It fosters trust between everyone. But the city, including Sharon, deliberately lied to me about records that are entitled to everyone, not just journalists. In order to know what is happening in our city, residents don't have to rely on a press release from Jennifer or a boring recitation of city activities from Eric Clinton, snooze. Rather, anyone, not just journalists, have a right to read and see almost everything that goes on here. So it's an unbelievable waste of money to attack me as a journalist, and each of you on council are responsible for us going down this reckless and costly path. You will fail, and you've crossed the line. So let me be clear. If Dunwoody wants to continue to spend money on this, it will go on for years. I will respond by bringing in media organizations to support me and other journalists so that the city of Dunwoody will learn that you shall not infringe upon my First Amendment rights. Dunwoody will not be successful in silencing journalists who criticize them, and I strongly suggest you speak to the law firm hired to stop this insanity. Call the law firm, Freeman, Mathis, and Gary, tell them to stop trying to make a new definition of a journalist, or you need to call my bluff. I'm trying to save you money. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Hirsch. That is all the cards I have here. Are there any other public comments? Sharon, do we have time? I'm sorry? No, do we have time we had some hands up. If you can fill out a card in the back and hand it to the clerk and just come up to you'll have 3 minutes, just state your name.
My name's Kai Fuller. I grew up in Dunwoody, attended the old Austin Elementary, then Peachtree Middle School, and Dunwoody High School. I'm here tonight to talk about the funding problems that the city of Dunwoody has faced building a turf field at Peachtree Middle School. I don't think that a turf field is the best use of the city's resources. The field would cost around $1 million to build and last for about 8 to 10 years, by which time another $1 million or so would have to be found to replace it. I don't want to diminish the safety concerns that Peachtree parents have expressed about the current condition of the field. A change needs to be made. But as someone who played soccer for 15 years, I don't think that artificial turf is the answer. When I was playing soccer, one of the things that United States women's national team bargained for in their agreement with US Soccer was to play on grass instead of turf fields. Part of this reason was that in 2019, University Hospitals in Cleveland did a study that found that high school athletes had nearly twice as many injuries playing on turf as they did on grass, with soccer injuries leading the pack. It's easier to get a concussion on artificial turf than on natural grass. Looking at head injuries alone, athletes can safely fall from almost twice as high on natural grass. And from personal experience, I can also say that the turf burns that you get from falling or sliding on artificial turf hurt a whole lot worse than a grass stain. Playing any sport in Georgia also means battling heat. I can remember taking mandatory water breaks every 15 minutes throughout soccer games to prevent heat exhaustion during hot days, and I mostly played on grass. But artificial turf fields have been shown to generate heat islands, holding on to heat and raising temperatures around the fields. At the same outdoor temperature, the surface of an artificial field runs about 37 degrees higher than asphalt and 86 degrees higher than natural grass. The National Recreation and Park Association recommends exercising caution, holding sports games and practices on artificial turf if outdoor temperatures reach 80 degrees, and we're above that threshold for a lot of the year. From my perspective, allocating these funds toward maintaining, and the key word being maintaining, a natural grass field would be a lot safer for students and a much more sustainable use of our resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Kai. Next is Zach Humphreys.
Hello and thank you. Hi, my name is Zachary Humphreys, a third-generation Dunwoodian, an aspiring local historian and journalist, a graduate of Austin Peachtree Charter Middle School, Dunwoody High, Georgia Tech, San Diego State, I got my master's there, and a believer in the truths espoused by Rabbi Joaquin Prince and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Speaking of Peachtree Charter Middle School, I heard we were trying to build a field turf there, or well, at least trying to. Seems like we don't have the funds, or really the funds for anything. So why is Councilman Hennigan and others so dead set on building this thing? Well, I think the turf field is emblematic of a lot of things wrong in Dunwoody. Let's just drop the act. The turf field isn't for the kids. It's for the homeowners association. A shiny new toy to wave in the face of potential homebuyers in the area with the goal of driving up home prices, and which in turn further increase the financial barrier for its citizens and kids to own property in Dunwoody. Policies like these will raise the rents of the majority multicultural and ethnic areas like the apartments on North Peachtree and North Shallowford Road. Populations who time and time again in Dunwoody's history have been excluded from security and equity. And guess what? They and all of us struggling citizens will have to foot the bill. So where have these policies, which take from the vulnerable and give to the secure, left us? Well, I don't know anyone from my Dunwoody High School class of 2017 that lives in this city, except for those who live with their parents. Not because we don't want to live here, but because we can't afford to. They've all moved elsewhere, moving further and further north to find cheaper houses to buy, or are stuck paying increasing rents in Atlanta, unable to accumulate enough for a down payment, further encroaching, liberalizing and gentrifying areas like Decatur, Bankhead, and the rural towns to the north and to the west. And that's not fair to those communities. The Dunwoody Homeowners Association, whose new president, Tim Brown, like so many others before him, is not actually from Dunwoody. And the officials who continue to enact their policies need to be held accountable. We made a deal with the devil in handing our town over to the Homeowners Association. That being, we must continue to raise housing prices by any means necessary, even when we can't afford it, like this turf field. I think a lot of us like the idea of building a new field here for our children, but who really benefits from it? Certainly not the Dunwoody citizens. If I were to walk to have a picnic, weekday picnic on the turf with its grass smoldering hot in the sun and its rubber pellets that get all in your shoes, the school, its security, and police would need to respond accordingly. No offense, I do get it. So then why are we, its citizens, paying for it? Because of the deal we made with the devil in creating the Homeowners Association back in 1970 to prevent Dunwoody from becoming over-commercialized, and more importantly, to prevent the implementation of desegregation policies from the late 1960s that would have allowed Black people and other minorities to have equity. Thank you. And in my research into our community, I've discovered foundational relationships between Dunwoody, its Homeowners Association, and former members of the Ku Klux Klan And now no one.
Mr. Humphries, your time is up. Thank you, Mr. Humphries.
Others than the rich families and far-flung areas
Mr.
who move
Mr.
into
Chairman,
increasingly expensive
you need to
houses
request
and know
a
nothing of
recess
our
until
people
orders
and its
restored
history.
for about 10 minutes.
The-
We're going to have a 10-minute recess until order is restored for this
Their
meeting.
bangs into our city, send their kids to our schools, dehumanize and disrespect our teachers over grades, increase the financial barrier of home ownership, and once they've sucked Dunwoody dry, they dip, never to be seen again. Or they just retire to a nearby care facility and exclude the people who take care of them and our vulnerable elderly the possibility of retirement. I see many on the council that have their fangs in this community today, and that's not fair to Dunwoody's kids. They deserve to live in the place they grew up. They deserve a community that values them and wants them back. Because right now our kids are brainwashed into working harder and harder, seeing their classmates as competition for increasingly fewer spots on top of the economic totem pole. Each others as successes and failures rather than as friends. And if they don't succeed, they don't deserve to live here. Why do I know this? Well, I was one of them. This destructive culture fostered by the policies and puppets of the Dunwoody Homeowners Association has lasting consequences. It has led to the suicides of my friends, 2 Dunwoody High School graduates who thought they weren't good enough. The drug overdose deaths of 3 of my other friends who I believe partook to cope with their existence, and the adoption of dangerous and hateful beliefs that if not for the police and their actions, me and my family would not be alive today. They were all wonderful people and touched mine and many, many other families here, and I deeply regret not having gone to their funerals to this very day. These exclusionary policies have consequences that Dunwoody's children, its employees, and its vulnerable groups must bear. So why do we need this state-of-the-art turf field? Can't they just play on some regular nothing too fancy grass and dirt? Can't our kids just be kids? It would have been way cheaper if y'all just maintained the field already there, and it would have been good for local landscaping businesses, but y'all failed and want to cover up your mistake with a hunk of plastic. Not to mention the environmental toll of suffocating the ground and its surrounding area, soaking up all of those rubber pellets, and then we'll have to deal with replacing it in 10 years' time, even when we can't afford it today. I think we all like the idea of a turf field, and I hate to spoil the fun, but these kids just don't understand how little this community actually cares for them and their place here after they graduate, especially the kids that aren't gifted nor take AP classes, which end up being primarily Black, Hispanic, and other minority children. But our school structural racism is a story for another time. We need to be responsible for our kids and their futures. Give them a life they want to have, not superimposed onto them by a city that says those who make ridiculous amounts of money are valuable. Why even have these amazing schools when the community doesn't even benefit from the minds it produces? And why build these fancy fields if our community can't even freely use them? We can't even afford it. This city has been sick for a long time, possessed by its homeowners association. Our children are not vassals for your wealth. They are people, and so are the people and public employees and vulnerable communities you deny equity to and plan on pushing out. I love Dunwoody and all its people, and it's sad to see y'all don't. So potential homeowners, come on and come all to the city of Dunwoody, a city whose youth knows nothing of their past and fear for their futures, a city whose children's sprouting love for one another and community are suffocated and replaced by an artificial turf of resentment and competition, a city whose graduates are cast as waste, vagabonds of discontent, with only a few deemed worthy of its conditional embrace. A city whose public employees and contributors are disrespected, cast to its fringes, and denied the security and equity they so rightfully deserve. A city whose officials masquerade only in the image of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and not his truth. A city whose Black, Jewish, Hispanic, queer, transgender, and other communities are constantly under attack by the hateful ideology and racial, ethnic, and economic superiority, and whose history and maps bear the scars of that truth. A city whose zoning map and laws were instituted to continue the ideals of segregation, reinforced by its homeowners association, whose members see Dunwoody as an investment rather than a community, and see others as vassals to be used in the pursuit of achieving it. And a city whose people are lonely, tired, and in need of change. Tim Brown, you, your buddies at the Homeowners Association, and any other officials who continue to cozy up to them and their exclusionary ideology better see the winds of change. People my age are coming back home. They want change, and so do our people. Ladies, gentlemen, and anyone outside and in between, a storm is a brewing, and I welcome all who come aboard this rickety ship of change, because me, our youth, its citizens and contributors deemed unworthy to have equity in this land, and those who believe in love, community, care, and a better future for Dunwoody's children are going to take our city back. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, the recess is adjourned. We'll call the meeting back to order. I'd just like to make a point of order at this point. Every city council meeting, we allot 30 minutes of time for public comments at the beginning of the meeting, and that is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Those limits are in place out of courtesy to allow other members of the public to speak. And we expect those limits to be respected so that other members of the public will have the opportunity to speak and speak their mind. So that was the reason for that necessitated a recess because the meeting was out of order, but the meeting is restored now. And with that, we are to the city manager's report.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Okay, we'll start under the Parks Department. We have the new Story Walk in the Garden on display through April. It's along the Dunwoody Trailway. 2025 marks the 5th year of this free program in partnership with the DeKalb County Public Library and the DeKalb County Foundation. We also have on April 17th is the Dunwoody Food Truck Thursday opener And at the beginning of the report talks about some of the season opener bands and the different series that we have. So that's starting up on the 17th of April. And then Lemonade Days is April 23rd through the 27th. And just so everybody knows, there's been great preparation by our police department and some of our private citizens to ensure the Lemonade Days is a success for Dunwoody and something everybody can enjoy. We also have the implementation of our plan set software for the new park registration, portal registration. And this is something I know the council had asked about before, to have a better software so people could register more efficiently. We also have the date set for our annual inspection of the Two Bridges Park splash pad, which will open on May the 30th. And right now we have the new shade structures are going in there. I mentioned a while back that the poles had gone in, but the fabric is custom manufactured, and so that's going in very soon to be completed. We had the Valentine pet photos, which raised $450 for the Brook Run Dog Park Association. We also had Rush Union Spring Cup, which is our soccer association, host 66 matches across 254 teams at Brook Run Park and the surrounding location. 10 of those teams advanced to finals for their respective age group. Under our police department, we had on February the 11th, Sergeant Trey Nelson was presented with the 2024 Officer of the Year Award by the local VFW post 10822 for saving the life of a choking young child. Also, we have February 18th kicked off the Dunwoody Police 16th Citizens Police Academy. Weekly classes will continue for a 12-week period, with the graduation recognized at the May 12th City Council meeting. On February 25th, we had another fundraiser for Special Olympics with a polar plunge. And we had large participation for that event. We also have our partnering with Sandy Springs on our Citizens on Patrol classes. So that's a program that we've had in place for, I think, about 8 years now. Our Citizens on Patrol. Sandy Springs has had it slightly longer, so we are doing some joint classes with them. If you look throughout your report, you'll see various events that have occurred in the city with the police department, and there is a crime stat comparison report at the end of your section. Public Works, the Nature Center Wetland Restoration Boardwalk construction began with timber pile driving. That's underway. We also have our Adopt a Stream volunteer training scheduled for March the 29th. You'll remember that's a new program we've established in-house to do our stream monitoring. Also, we have the North Shallowford Path public information meeting in May. Our gateway signs, the foundations have been installed on Roberts Drive, North Shallowford. The signs are all completed. The company putting in the foundation has to have a cure time on the concrete and meet certain specifications. That's what we're waiting on, and that's the delay on the sign. I did speak last week along with our city attorney to the sign company that's putting those in to see, why is there a delay? And they're going to speak with their concrete company as well. In all honesty, the concrete should have cured quicker and gotten up to strength, but that's what's delaying that program. Communications, once again, numerous reports from that department and the newsletters that come out of that area. Community development, we have the city celebrated Arbor Day with the tree planting event at Brook Run Park on the 21st of February. We also have the 12th year we've celebrated being a Tree City USA. We have a second phase of Direction Dunwoody, which is the creation of the new Unified Development Ordinance. Will start in March, or it has started, and the staff has collected a list of over 100 requests for code fixes. Here again, this is a very public process that we're trying to redo the entire code. Once again, as I've mentioned before, it's a very important process because we're still operating under the foundational code that was part of DeKalb County. So this is our own code that will be developed specifically for the city of Dunwoody. Under building division, we've completed about 336 inspections. There's some other stats within that section of the report. Economic development continues to do business retention. 15 meetings occurred last month, along with 21 recruitment meetings. Finance, we have our ARPA and CARES Act web pages have been updated with all activity through the end of 2024. We're also going to begin field work, actually started today with the external auditor. SEMA received our GOAT award. The GOAT, of course, greatest of all time, is an award that comes out through my office for an employee who has gone over and beyond. And the GOAT makes its way around City Hall probably about 8 times a year. So it's in her office. Well, the GOAT goes out, sits on somebody's desk for a while, then has to come back and then go back out again. So that's what we have there. We also have we did submit the application for renewal with GERMA for our next cycle. Our risk manager has completed our ballistics project here in Dunwoody Hall. We also have our risk managers also worked on the Narcan boxes in the city facilities, including the stop, the bleed kits, and life vac. The last section I'm going to go through will be municipal court and HR. Municipal court disposed of 403 cases last month, with only 31 being reset. And also HR has filled the HR generalist position, as well as the last public safety ambassador. So that brings us up to 4 public safety ambassadors, which is fully staffed at this point. I'm glad to answer any questions you may have on this report.
Thank you, Eric. Council comments or questions? Catherine?
Thanks, Eric. I had a question about the Q1 internal audit for Discover Dunwoody. That made it sound like it was for Discover Dunwoody, as in just this time, and then next time would be for somebody else. Does it rotate? Do you just have Discover Dunwoody once a year?
What we do Discover Dunwoody is on our normal schedule to do that. But as you know, there's different audits for different times of the year to go through, but that is part of our normal process.
Well, what would you do the next time? Are there,
Is Richard, did he leave?
no, he's here.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, he's gonna come up. He's got the full list of.
So these are audits that the audit committee chooses on a quarterly basis, and we identify them throughout the year with working with our internal auditor. We've got 4 this year: Discover Dunwoody, a P card / gas card audit, a capital project audit, and then an evidence room audit. What is the 4 quarterly audits this year?
And there could be different next year.
Correct.
You're saying.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so it's just your opportunity to
It's
deep dive into some
correct.
aspect of your.
With the guidance from the
Okay.
audit committee, yes.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Rob?
I think it was a little bit too late to get on this report, but just an addition, I think everybody on council knows this, but the deputy chief received an award, I think at the end of the week, last week. And I just wanted to extend congratulations if there's someone from the police department here.
Yes, do you want to speak to that?
That
Yes,
can,
he
that
did
can
receive
share kind of what he got and what that means.
the white rose. So Chief's going to go through that.
So the Atlanta Jewish Community Committee, presents this White Rose Award to outside individuals that are not Jewish that actually help with the security and safety of the Jewish community. And the amount of work that Deputy Chief Fladrick does, he well deserving of this award. So we presented it here last week in the city manager's conference room, and he was, we surprised him, but it was a well-earned award. And the amount of work that he does with the civilian response to active shooter events, security assessments, not only here within Dunwoody, but he goes outside the city as well to assist them. So he was well deserving of the award.
And Chief, I will go on to say on that, it was a complete surprise to him, which was, we wanted to be sure that he did have that. But very kind words were said from many people in the community about Oliver and all the work that he does. So I was honored to be there and be part of that event.
Yeah, and a lot of this is on his own time. So not only is the outstanding work that he does, for the police department, a lot of this is on his own time after hours.
Stacy?
I know we're waiting for concrete to cure apparently, but the Roberts stuff was poured in December.
Yeah, let's have Michael, if you'll come up and explain the concrete cure. It's not up to enough PSI strength. They ordered 3,000. It needs to be 2,000 PSI. They ordered 3,000
Okay,
PSI.
but it's March. It was
Agreed.
December. What?
I think it was poured in late January because the 28-day strength is, which is what you look for. They just tested that last week. And for the Roberts sign in particular, it's not coming up to strength. So they're gonna have to figure out something, they're gonna have to do something different because it doesn't look like that we're gonna accept it based on what it is now.
I guess I just don't understand. I mean, they're a sign company. It's concrete. Like what's the missing link? Did we just not have a good sign company? Do they not know how to pour concrete? Like, do they not have the, like, help me out, because we have 16 signs and we only have 2 in, and we're going at the rate of 1 every 6 months.
Right.
Which is a little painful.
Yeah, I mean, it's, they've, as Eric said, they've made all the signs, so it's kind of a mystery as to why it's in their best interest to get them in because they've spent all this money building them and they're not getting paid until they're installed. So on the concrete issue specifically, that's really not actually the sign company's fault. It's something that the concrete supplier, it's a problem with their mix that it did not reach the strength that was supposed to reach. So, the sign company has been moving slowly, but this particular case probably can't be blamed on them. And really, we don't have an explanation for why the concrete mix wasn't good. It's just what they delivered didn't meet our standards.
I just, we're looking forward to this, and I just don't understand. So what's the next plan of action, since apparently we're gonna have to rip up the Roberts Drive one and re-pour?
Well, they're trying to look at some different engineering reports on it to see if it does meet the standards. I've been in contact with a sign company as well. And the interesting fact, the problem is this.
It's a public works project.
Well, despite of whose problem it is, it's our problem. It hadn't happened. It's not going in. All the signs are constructed. They're sitting in their shop. I said, don't you want to get them out of your shop and get them put up? The concrete came from 2 different companies and both of them were below standards. So I'm asking them, hey, you need to tear it out and redo it. And get the right, go over and beyond. But it was already over and beyond what it was supposed to be. It only needed to be, about a third less than what was ordered in terms of the strength.
Right.
But it still didn't meet the minimum standard, and they've had an engineer look at it independently. Our folks are just saying, hey, we can't approve that because it doesn't meet. And the concern, these signs are taller. It has to have substantial, so it doesn't blow over, substantial strength. But it is very frustrating. I agree with you, councilperson, on that. Because I'd like to get them up. They're already made. And we're gonna, once they're ready to put them all up, it won't be, they'll all go up at the same time. They can put them up as quick as they can get the foundations poured correctly.
John?
Thank you, Eric, for the report. It's always educational. There's a section of the report that I've never really seen before, and maybe it's in there and maybe I just miss it. Do we have anything on purchasing in the report? The purchasing that is done every month? There's a couple things that are in the purchasing website this month that are of interest to me. The main one is the Edson to Cherry Hill Lane that Ms. Smith talked about at the public comment. I guess she was talking about the 10 feet versus 12 feet. And I guess right now we're going out to bid for the 12 feet. That being said, she raised an issue regarding stormwater and water flow. And I tried to take a look at the bid that we put out as well as the reports. I want to make sure that the water flow off that project is appropriate. I guess Michael's coming up. I just want to make sure that that's there. I was looking for the water flow aspects as part of this public works project. And I just wonder if there's a few comments that could be made on it.
Yes, the stormwater component is a big part of the project, probably half the project. It's small enough that by our code, we don't have to treat the stormwater, but we knew there were some previous concerns downstream in this area. And so we went ahead and designed it so that the flow will not increase after the project from what it is now. And on the Cherry Hill end, we're actually capturing some of the water that's going down to the east in Cherry Hill and diverting it down through our project through a series of, it's similar to what was done at the Nature Center near that the classroom out there, with a series of pools that'll slow the water down and let some of it infiltrate in. So a lot of the project is stormwater.
It is, and I just didn't see a whole lot of stormwater information on either the bid going out or what's on the website. I'm sure you have it all. I'm just not sure if the residents have it all. And I know Carl was with me. We have done numerous conversations and walks through floodplains in the Dunwoody North area, looking at stormwater retention changes, flooding, and every drop of water needs to kind of be controlled in that area because there are issues left and right in various floodplains. So thank you. It sounds like we're on top of it. You might not
Yes.
have published it as part of the plans, but it sounds like we're working in that issue.
Yeah, and there's in the plans, it shows, it may not be labeled necessarily stormwater, but there's a series of small walls and pools as you go down beside the trail that are going to be collecting and slowing down the stormwater.
All right. Well, again, with every public works project, the community is going to be impacted one way or the other, and water is going to, this is a downhill project with water flowing downhill, so we got to control it.
Right.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The other thing that's also in the purchasing website this last couple of weeks is that we are doing a Wildcat Park sculpture exhibit for the summer. I thought that was interesting. I don't remember hearing about it. I'm cool with it, whatever, it's good, but it's, we're putting an RFP out on the street. And I just thought that was interesting to see that that's in the website, but not mentioned in your
Okay,
report.
fair enough.
But just something that we published in other ways, but I don't remember a whole lot being discussed in the purchasing aspect of your monthly report. So thank you for due diligence.
Yeah.
No, I try to read every word of this things.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, Jim.
Actually, Michael, you probably come back up here quick. Just the sign thing, I know it's related to the signs, but maybe I guess it's a different vendor. I know we have I noticed you mentioned the trail wayfinding sign with TSW. Is that that's going to be is that going to follow a different route? Do you expect that to be a lot smoother and simpler for the wayfinding signs that we're going to be working on?
And those are smaller signs, a lot smaller scale. So yeah, I mean, we'll put that out to bid too, but I think it will not be as complicated as the one we're doing now. And just on the, the other challenge with the gateway sign is we only got one bidder. So at any point, it's like we had, if we didn't like this company, there was nobody else to go to. And their signs are good quality. It's just been very, very slow.
Right. And by the way, and maybe one day, I mean, we go to the procurement site, but I think thank you, Michael, but just from a procedural perspective, potentially just copying council when they go out to bid. I mean, I get the email, I'm signed up for it subscription wise, but I just navigate it there. And so like I'm reading the invitation to bid addendum number 2 on page 7, and I can see the landscape plan with drainage, but maybe we can put that in packets, or a link to it with council so we can check that out. Or anyway, just a feedback for future. I mean, I know it's meant for contracting and purchasing, but yet this is a public facing. And I'm pretty sure since I've been on council, I'm beginning of my 6th year now, I guess. Time flies. Pretty much even before on council, I think almost every project we've done, back when we put in the trail in Brook Run, and that was litigated, right? The neighbors against, and it was about water, right? And they took the city all the way to the Supreme Court, but they were not successful, the plaintiffs, in stopping the trail in Brook Run, right? And we had mitigation efforts there. Right. And I think so it seems to me like we've had a track record in our projects to reduce the impact of any kind of projects we're doing with adjacent neighbors, right? So I hope we follow on our track records and the citizens look at what we've done, and we'll continue doing that in the future with working with the neighbors. Thank you.
And don't see any other comments, so thank you, Eric. Next up is the consent agenda.
Move to approve?
Second.
Moved by Stacy, second by Rob. Any discussion? So I'll call the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Next up, item number 5, policy on green buildings.
Do you all want me to explain it or just tell you we've done since your email last night?
Yes, last night I sent an email that you may want to discuss, but please give your report and then council will take action as it sees fit. It's an action item, but which we may or may not take action on, but.
Right, okay. Good evening, council. At the recent meeting, Michael Smith brought up the green building policy, which has been in place since 2010. His building and the shed are both under 5,000 square feet. So in listening to the meeting, you all discussed making some amendments to it. So I've made amendments to that. It's very simple, but we did not run it by the Sustainability Committee because they meet Thursday, but I have forwarded it to them. I've gotten 2 responses so far, but it will be presented to them. So I can keep going or.
Mr. Chair, based on the fact that this is a green policy and the Sustainability Commission has not reviewed it, I would like to request a deferral on this action so that they can talk about it in full, discuss it, pros, cons, tweak it, send it back to us, or we can vote it up or down. I just think it's appropriate for them that we have a body that does nothing but green aspects and sustainability, and yet this is a sustainability policy that they have not looked at. I would be more comfortable making sure that they've seen it as a group. So I'd like to make a motion to defer.
Okay, actually, as a point of order, that'll be a tabling.
Technically table,
Okay,
because you got more than 5 present.
sure. Let's table that for 1 month.
Is
To
it
the
you want
14th,
to a specific date? Is there a specific date of that meeting?
They're meeting this Thursday and they'll give us an answer by Friday. So at the next meeting.
The next city council meeting?
So
March 24th.
table until the March 24th meeting.
Sure, my motion is to table till March 24th.
Okay, Sharon, you have that? Okay.
I just did.
Yeah, you can vote.
Okay, so item number 5 is tabled until the.
Yeah, no,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor of tabling item number 5?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That tabling passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we are on to discussion items. A contract amendment with Lowe's Engineers for stormwater project. Michael.
Yes, this is a request when the American Rescue Plan Act funding came through, one of the things that the city council allocated was money to accelerate stormwater projects and provide a project manager to do that. And that is something that we were able to do pretty quickly. We did in 3 years, we did about 3 miles of stormwater pipe rehabilitation. And there was 300,000 over that 3 years for the project manager to help facilitate that. He's worked out really well. He's also helped to get our Adopt a Stream program started. We've used all the ARPA money, both for his time and for the stormwater rehabilitation, but we do still have about 1.9 million above what we would consider like the normal stormwater reserves available that we could continue to accelerate projects. And so we're requesting a contract amendment with Lowe to continue this project manager at 20 hours a week through the end of the year to help continue to spend some of our stormwater reserves and complete projects.
I just have a quick question.
Hey.
So he we already have him through Lowe's for a certain number of hours a week, correct or no?
He was added, through the ARPA funds.
So he was always just ARPA?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. That's, for some reason I thought that we had him from Lowe's and then we added in ARPA. So this is just to really to continue his position with our stormwater.
Right, right.
And it's paid for with the
Through
stormwater.
yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Michael, can you give us an update as far as the staffing level and the professionalism of the staff? I know there's been some changes. Some of the people that I've worked with in the past are no longer on staff. So you're asking for this person to come on, stay on, but you're not really giving me a whole lot of background as what we currently have on staff, the expertise to handle the projects that you currently have. And then after that, I would kind of be interested, are you thinking of going forward with one big project, which might be different engineering and specialty versus 20 little projects? And what's the difference on your thoughts of the projects versus the expertise of the person you're looking to get on board?
Okay. Staffing wise, Carl Thomas left last year and Cody Dallas, who is here,
Hi, Cody.
who's been with the city for a while, has taken that position as the stormwater manager. And then just in the last week or two, Lowe has identified a person to do what Cody used to do as the stormwater engineer, and that person will be starting April 1st. And that role is mainly focused on dealing with things with our stormwater permit and compliance. And the person, we're excited about this person too, because they've expressed an interest in outreach. So they will be doing those types of things. And then we have a part-time, more senior stormwater engineer, who right now it happens to be David Elliott, who was the stormwater manager here 2 managers ago. And he's come back to Lowe. And so he's supporting stormwater, really purely on the technical aspect.
Based on what you just said, I'm a little confused and or concerned. Carl left, Cody stepped up. We're now getting a replacement for Cody, but it seems like a big chunk of time. Does Lowe's owe us money for the time that there was not a direct replacement from Cody's expertise? I mean, it sounds like maybe it's a wash. Just give us the guy for the time period. We'll call it even.
And that's basically what they've been doing for the last few months, because the ARPA money ran out last year.
Okay.
But Javier has continued to be supporting the city based on the fact that we had a vacant position. And as far as, whether anybody owes money or not, at the end of each year under the contract, the consultants are supposed to true up with finance and show that we had this many people allocated.
Okay.
But the project manager has been to stay longer than the ARPA money actually lasted, because we had a vacant position.
All right. All right, thank you for answering my questions on that. As far as the large projects, smaller projects, what's your plan for the?
It will be a lot of small projects like the ARPA money was. Some are bigger than others, but it's going to be a lot of pipelining and, just rehabilitating existing pipes, no real major.
And I'm sure you don't have you don't know the future, but is there any large project that is on the horizon for us that might have a higher priority than all of these small projects?
The Nature Center project's the biggest project we have that's using stormwater funds. I don't know of anything, Cody, or any big projects.
Thank you.
We do anticipate getting some more projects from if y'all remember, Dewberry came before council, and we were doing the Marsh Creek Basin study. So we are going to be sitting down with them short, maybe in the next 2 weeks or so, to go over what they have found, and they should be identifying projects on that basin level, where we'll be able to see what the level of service is throughout. So
So hopefully those are the little improvements and not major catastrophes waiting to be fixed.
Right.
All right.
And then we'll be moving on to I think what I believe was council's next biggest priority too was the Crooked Creek, Chattahoochee Basin, where we've got Kingsley Lake and Crooked Creek, Fontana Blue community.
Got it.
So those may turn into very, very big projects. Yes.
All right, I'm okay with the addition. I'm just trying to make sure that the quality of the work matches the needs of this community and that we are putting the money the right way to do the right stuff. So I'm just trying to get the right questions. And thank you for the staffing background. That's helpful. Thank you.
Just, I guess either Cody or Michael, we did 3 miles in 3 years. Is that I mean, I don't know. Is that a lot? Is that like a pretty high amount to be able, okay. Cody's like, yes.
Yeah, I think based on, I thought about this from a historical standpoint before the ARPA money, and I think it's probably at the rate of 3 times of what we were doing. Does that sound about right? Yeah. So 3 times what we normally do.
Yeah, Michael, thanks. In the memo, it says, to expedite projects. Is it fair to presume like these projects have already been identified?
We always have a list of projects in stormwater. A lot of what, and one of the reasons we were able to go faster with the ARPA funds is that we focused on projects in the right of way. Some of the projects we do based on our extent of service in residential areas go off the right of way. And one of the main thing that slows those down is going through an easement process to get the easements we need. So we focused on right of way, and I think we still have right of way projects that we can do. So we still have more right of way projects that we can do that we feel comfortable. We won't be held up by having to get an easement, but we also have easement projects too. So we have plenty of projects.
And at the end of the year, are we going to reevaluate where we are and potentially extend again, or do you have any idea yet?
We'll do that through the contract will be up at the end of this year for professional services, and so that'll get evaluated through the renewal process for the new contract starting next year.
And just for the record, I've heard nothing but great things about Javi, not only from staff, but from residents that have dealt with him as well. He's been doing a great job for the city. He also implemented our streamwater testing. And so it led me to question if at the end of the year, this position goes away, what happens with that program?
We will continue the program. One of the things with the new person we have coming on, that will be something we'll look to have her be trained in also, so that we have some redundancy there.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, Michael, you are up again. Item number 7. Oh, yeah. Okay, item number 7, approval of contracts with a bunch of tree services.
Right. So in late 2023, the Parks Department advertised a contract for a lot of different on-call trade contractors, and tree services was in that request for proposals. We didn't get any response from that, from any tree companies. So over the last year, we've been doing it kind of on a quote basis and just evaluating different companies, and we're at a point now. There's a lot of tree work, both regular scheduled tree work and emergency work that comes up in the city. And we're requesting to put these 3 contractors under a on-call unit price contract. Through our purchasing policy, if you don't receive any bids or quotes on a project or a service, then you can go to direct negotiations. So that's what we've done. We've asked these three companies that we've worked with and have gotten good response from to provide their pricing, and that's what we've included in the agenda, and we're requesting approval of contracts with each of these.
Thank you. Comments or questions? Stacy?
So it was kind of hard for me to do an apples to apples because with the AKC tree services, it's so much an hour and it includes everything. I mean, do we always need everything? While the other two, it was a little bit more where you could parcel it out. So I didn't. Yeah.
Yes, it is difficult to do an apples to apples. They all kind of operate a little bit different way. Beasley uses more specialized equipment than the other two do, so their pricing structure is a little bit different. Triscapes really gave us the most thorough list, and that's, they're our contractor for maintenance now. I think that's who we will probably use the most, but especially for emergency situations, we felt like we couldn't have two, the more tree companies we have, the better if we need to call on them in an emergency. So, but yes, they do all kind of quote it a little bit differently.
Yeah, Michael, I was looking at it from the emergency perspective. I saw a couple of quotes on there. They're a little different, but are they locked in? We had a tornado here in town just recently, and trees scattered all over, and we needed to clear the streets immediately that day, open up various streets. Are these companies on the hook to help us immediately, no matter what, or do they then get to go to, town next door at an extra $100 an hour because they have a contract with, how are they on the hook to help us, and how fast?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's something that we've always been concerned with. And I think Triscapes, because of our relationship with them and how much other work they do in the city, I think, I don't have any concerns that if we need them to be here, they will be here. But that's why we want to have multiple options too, because some of the others, they may, in a big storm, maybe they would go to a bigger jurisdiction because they get more work there. But I feel like we have three options, and Triscapes at least will be there if we need them.
Okay, thank you. Sure.
Consent? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, we have another public comment section. I don't have any cards. Does anyone like to comment? All right, thank you, Mr. Hirsch. You'll have 3 minutes, please.
Hey there. First, thank you to the only councilman who at least acknowledged receipt of my last email, and that was Councilman Hennigan. Thank you for responding. And at last month's council meeting, I told all of you about our city manager erroneously explaining while under oath that the city's audit committee and city auditor are where a person should go to handle open records disputes. And not one of you even batted an eye. It's as if you already knew that Eric Linton is unfit for his job. Then, as you know, the city had to pay an attorney to claim that our city manager misspoke, but he did not misspeak. Our city manager has no clue what the audit committee does. And Dunwoody could do so much better if y'all had the courage to do what is right. Look, I acknowledge why the city doesn't want to hear, see, or speak no evil. You don't want anything to make the city look bad. So what you do is mostly optics and image, a photo op, another press release, or a Facebook post about a new restaurant opening in our city. That's great, but when it comes to a foundation of our democracy, transparency in government, and honesty, none on this council have demonstrated true ethics. And that's truly sad. Dunwoody could be so much better if any of you could demonstrate some courage. I know that some of you on council presumably think that some of our nation's congressmen are cowards for not standing up to Donald Trump. I'm looking at you, Joe. Well, to those of you who have those thoughts, it's time for you to demonstrate what ethics means locally. If you care about upholding the laws of our city, the rule of law, you would use your voice for what is right in Dunwoody. You know that the text messages were withheld from me because our city employees lied and broke the law. But it takes courage for you to do what's right. Just posting something on Facebook about, look at my activity in the military, that's not courage. Courage is now. What are your values? My lawsuit's not going away, so you need to decide which side you're on. You can't pretend that you're simply ignorant of the facts. What does it say about a leader who sits quietly when there is an injustice? What type of leader are each of you? Y'all sit there, vote on storm drain issues, but you don't seem to care about employees who violate the law and are incompetent when we could do so much better. Do you think when the mayor gives our State of the City address next week, she'll be fully truthful about things and mention my lawsuit or even the police officers' lawsuits that the city is wasting our money on? Y'all can't continue to stick your heads in the sand. You're wasting money, like I mentioned earlier, about trying to define what a journalist is. That's crazy. What a waste of money. Are y'all going to say anything, or are you just going to sit there? Is anyone going to say anything to our attorney, to the other law firm? Are y'all just going to just be content, doing nothing, showing no courage? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hirsch. That's the only card I have. Are there any other comments? That concludes the public comment section. City manager comments.
We do not need an executive session this evening.
Thank you. Council comments. Okay, no council comments.
Move to adjourn.
Moved by Joe, second by Stacy. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.